I will make this possibly the thumbnail for this video. If you see right there, it's talking about our generation. It's talking about our time. What do you see? We're talking about this verse right here. Number 3. I have to back up because this cheapo phone cannot focus. Let's come back in. It sure is having a struggle. Too close again. Let's back up. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is when you travel the areas, you will notice there's abundant housing. There's lots of homes and more homes being built while other homes sit empty. There's people that are struggling to survive while others rub it in their face that they're not. And you can have the appearance of someone who's struggling, and try it sometime. If you're not struggling, try it. Take a crappy vehicle and drive around and look how people treat you and how they talk to you, regardless of how much you have. You enter some type of business and talk to people. If you pull up in an old raggedy vehicle, they're going to talk to you like you're stupid. Even if you have a larger business than them and more money, a larger bank account. You can have all those things, but what it matters to this world and the lovers of pleasure and the lovers of themselves and money and is the appearance. Your appearance, what you appear to have, is what matters to them. But that isn't even the topic of this video. This video is that verse of scripture I just showed you, 2 Timothy 3. It's describing this generation, and it's describing these little fake families that are everywhere also. Because we're in a time now to where families are broken apart, and moving on and grabbing a new partner and creating more kids with that new partner has become normalized, when 50 years ago it would have been shunned. In the biblical days, it would have been punished by capital punishment, let's put it that way. And that was a deterrent for breaking up homes, because when you break up homes, you break up a solid family structure that has a godly belief system. You're going to have a stronger nation that's more resistant to things that are happening now. And we don't have that now. We don't have a nation that is resistant to being invaded or to being, what do you call it, manipulated from the top down. Nobody is aware. Nobody sees it. The ones that do see it are few and far between. So we don't have enough good guys in the right places. So the enemy steamrolls right over us. But if you want to see an example of that verse, drive through a modern subdivision. You'll see all these little fake families, and they are probably made up of broken families. Almost, you go through those fancy subdivisions, newer ones, almost every home is made up of someone who's been divorced from someone else. And that's by design. What better way to create a debt society? People who are all in debt, and forcing both people to have to work to survive because they're chasing pleasure. They're chasing a lifestyle. They're chasing a standard of living which is actually not them. They're not up to that standard because they couldn't do it on their own without manipulating someone else. They couldn't do it without having to step over someone else and take a portion of their salary and maybe some kind of benefit from the government or a tax break, that huge tax break they get. So it's not based on merit, it's not honest. And that was all predicted long before the times we live in now. And if a person has eyes to see it, some of us, we all have family members that are in that situation. Some of you may be in that situation. I'm not judging you guys for it. Because most of us, including myself, at one point in our life didn't know. We didn't even know this. But what matters is, after we learn this knowledge, what do we do? Some things you can't turn back on. But to go and say, I see people say, well, God has blessed this marriage. God did not bless your adulterous marriage. The God of this world may have. Or let me say this, not even really a God that's on this world, on this earth. It's a ruler that God let rule this earth for a while until he comes back. That's who's blessed your marriage. And I see that all across this country in subdivisions. There's subdivisions of 200 homes, 500 homes, 1,000 homes. There's huge subdivisions all across this country, and made up of people like that. They're chasing pleasure. These are the ones, they'll have sports team stickers all over the cars and stuff. And they're not fit enough to even pick up a ball or run a marathon or anything like that. These people are fake. But they're chasing pleasure. They work all week, all year, to have 1 or 2 weeks of vacation. Then they have their shiny little new house. Then they have their shiny vehicles. Then they have their motorcycles, their jet skis, their boat, their oversized truck, you know. And it's chasing pleasure, and they're not finding it, so they keep buying more things and they keep doing more work. And they keep consuming more things. They keep going into more debt. And all of that has created a misery index for those who don't participate in that, because it made things unattainable for those who are living honest. Because some people choose not to go in debt, some people choose not to take out loans. And in an honest society, a loan should be something that doesn't even exist. Your merit and your financial prowess, your ability to save money, which is a measuring unit of your work, a unit of measure of your work, of your labor, your time. You should be able to be frugal with your income and save your money and pretty much purchase whatever you need. And in this country, that's not the norm anymore, which in my mom and dad's generation, which people that they were born in the 1930s and 40s, they still had that mentality because their parents were born before the Depression started, long before it. They lived through it. So they instilled in their children to be ready for it. Because what we have coming is not just a depression, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be extra horrible for those who live those fake lifestyles. And those who are communistic in nature. They believe in community. Community is like, if you can't stand on your own 2 feet, then you're no benefit to any community. Because if you have a bunch of people who can stand on their own 2 feet, but they don't pull their own weight, then they make it harder for those to help those who actually cannot stand on their own 2 feet. I can't believe I'm ranting at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Ozark Prepper 1 out.